Alright, I've been seeing the comments. I agree. It's finally time we run a proper goods train. When we do, that brake van problem, it's gonna be solved. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. And as you can see here, we have a fresh Bachmann Toad to not only talk about, but unbox together and do a little review on. You know, this is a model I've had before. If you've been around my channel for long enough, you probably remember when I scrapped one of these along with an Oliver. It's been a long time since I've had just a new or fresh Toad though, and that's kind of the purpose of this guy. Plus it'll be a big help or complete the consists I hope to run on the enthusiast trains, or that I'd like to run ideally. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what we see here. I'm not gonna get too hung up on the packaging. It's exactly what you'd expect if you've ever got a Bachmann Thomas thing. It's the same as everything else. The back has a very large just list of all the things Bachmann is currently selling, and yeah, there's that, I guess. And the front just has this Thomas, lets you know that it's HO or 00, and doesn't even say Toad. It just says rolling stock and collect them all. That's cool. That's cool, I guess. Oh, and the bottom also says Bachmann with a 8 years and over logo there. So it's pretty traditional. There's really not much to talk about. Now it's just time to open it. And I'd say that's probably my longest running critique with Bachmann anything. I mean, if you can put your normal, like American styled model trains in boxes, why not just do it with Thomas? Why? I understand, you know, putting them on pegs on stores, but this part sucks. Just opening these is never fun. All right, so what I typically do is take an X-Acto or a knife and I follow the seam line here on the top. Let's see here, there we go. And there we go. We've got, or hold on, almost. There we go. We've got the Bachmann Toad. And there you go. That did not need to be that complicated. You know, if this came in like a normal box, like a Hornby train does, or literally any other model train does, wouldn't have to worry about that, but it's fine. It's fine. All right, and that aside, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at Toad. Now, he comes in this little plastic casing, as you can see here, but is not too hard to get out. Just slides out like so. And there is the model. All right, so right off the bat, I have to say, you know, it's been a while since I've said this, but I think Toad fits the bill. This is probably one of Bachmann's best. I mean, in terms of rolling stock, it's hard to think of something else that you're gonna get that's this accurate off the bat. Number one, that face is phenomenal. You know, I can't really say it feels too Classic Series. It kind of feels more like the CGI and Classic Series face morphed into one. But it's still Toad. Like, if you look at that, that's unmistakably Toad. That's better than Percy. Now, what's kind of interesting about this decaling is it's only here on this side. If you flip it over, there is literally nothing. And I think that's a little cheap. That's probably not the hardest thing to, you know, apply to both sides. If you can do it on tankers, why not do it on the brake van? But it is what it is. Now, just like the body, the chassis does have quite a bit of molded detail. I don't think there's really anything separate save for the face and the little brake pipe you see inside of there. There's also no windows or glazing on the inside. It's pretty simple for a brake van, let's be honest. To be fair though, I think I paid 30 bucks for this at a hobby shop. That's probably what you'll pay online for this thing, and for being that, you get quite a bit for a pretty good price. As you can see, we have couplers on both sides. I might end up removing the one here since he probably won't need it, and there is plenty of room to fit something like a figure on the inside if you ever wanted to. But I think today in upgrading this guy, we'll try something just a little different. Now, that is something we'll get into here in a second. Let's finish up the review of Toad first. He does have these very bright silver buffers, which do look pretty nice, but the molding, as you can see, is pretty apparent in at least my model. And that is on both sides. I might need to file that down for maximum accuracy, but it's not inaccurate to the CGI series. And I'm pretty sure that's kind of what they're going for with this guy. So, not really a bad thing, just maybe something you want to fix if you are interested in this guy. And almost certainly that's not a hard fix. This thing comes apart pretty easily. You can just pop the wheels out, pop the couplers off if you want, and give this thing a spray of matte black, and that'll be fixed like that. Shoot, I mean, 1 to 10, seriously, this thing is, I mean, I want to give it a 10. It's just one of the better Toad products you can get. Almost everything is right about it. It's very detailed, and it's not very expensive. But I guess in retrospect, I'll give it a 9, since I wish there was decaling here on the other side. They definitely could have added glazing or just something in the windows like they do, again, with the coaches. In some ways, it's definitely lacking. So, you know, maybe even an 8. An 8 sounds pretty fair. So we'll go with a 8.5. 8.5, right between that and 9. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any decals that match this side, so I can't fix that just yet, but I'm thinking we can probably upgrade this guy and fix those other problems I talked about. Give him some window glazing and maybe just a little bit extra with the help of this little thing here. Now, this is a little red light that I've had for a while now. It's very simple. As you can see here, you just unscrew this, and there's the battery. I'm thinking if I can, I'll try to install, say, a little hole somewhere in the bottom and slip that in there, and just boom, whenever you want, you can turn that on, turn it off, and it looks like his little fireplace is going. Now, realistically, I could and kind of want to detail his entire inside, just like he's a real Toad brake van, but that's kind of pointless. These things do not have large windows kind of anywhere, so I don't think anyone would ever see it. We just have this smokestack that lets you know, hey, there's a chimney of some sort on the interior. So the goal with this thing is to make it look like that is lit, and there's just something going on, and it'll give him some life with any luck. And whenever I get some lamps, I'll probably add those to the side, but interior lighting is just, that's not something I've seen on a Toad before, so let's give it a shot. And also fix these windows, because that might help as well. But there's quite a few things we have to do to get that in motion, so let's go ahead and let's make a game plan. All right, so we've got Toad, we've got our light, and we've got our screwdriver. So I think the first thing, or the natural step, is to disassemble this guy and get him into all of the different components we want him in. So we'll unscrew this one, and I believe that's the only screw that holds the chassis to the body. I could be wrong. Should be the only one. Yep, there we go. All right, so there's the chassis separated from the body, and now let's get a better look at this, since we couldn't really see this part with the body on. There's a look at the actual brake feature and the little front part here. You know, if you really wanted, you could probably paint these a brown or detail this in a wood, and that probably wouldn't be too hard. There's also inside of here this front part that shouldn't be too hard to come off. Well, normally that just slides right out. It's not wanting to on this one. Looks like it's pretty glued or secured. I'll leave it, but this part normally slides out as well. We're going to do a little bit of detail work on that by the time this is all over. But, alright, that should be everything we need to do, at least for now. Now, since I'm working with an LED or any sort of lighting, the first thing I would usually do is paint this interior in all black, and that would help with any bleeding. But as you can see here, it doesn't seem to do that through the plastic. I'll turn this light off and we'll double check, but yeah, that seems to just be peering through the windows pretty well. So that doesn't seem like something I'll have to worry about, at least right now, but keep that in mind if you're ever working with lighting. Like, for example, when I go to light the station, I'm probably gonna have to paint the interior of that one all black, but I don't think for Toad that's the most necessary. You know, I also don't think this screw held on the body. I think this held on this part here, so scratch that as well, but there's that. I think what I'll do now is measure or mark out exactly where I want this light to go. I'm thinking dead center isn't too bad of an idea, since I know the smokestack goes this way, but if it is just right here, the light may not look the most consistent. You know, I want it to be the same through all windows. So we'll try to center it, and I'll trace it real quick with a Sharpie. And as you can see here, that is definitely not the cleanest, but that's just gonna help me with the Dremel work. And this is all on the inside, so I'm not the most worried about it. I just need to make sure this fits pretty well, and then we can figure out a way to either secure it, or with any luck, I'll just be able to get it to slip right in. But we'll need at least that much area. I kind of went a little crazy with that Sharpie, didn't I? All right, so this is becoming a mess, but there's that part. And now let's get on to these windows. All right, so for those windows, as you can see here, you can straight up just use some of the packaging that Toad came in. What we're gonna do is take some scissors, cut out this straight piece here, and cut that into smaller segments. We will then install that onto the interior of Toad and kind of just give him little windows like he could have had if Bachmann weren't being cheap, but it is what it is. All right, okay, so there we go. We've got our flat strip here, and we're going to basically cut this to not only be into smaller segments, but a lot cleaner, and that will slip in right here with some glue, and right there with some glue, and boom. So need to cut off right here. All right, so let's trim this down just a little bit. Boom, and this should just slip right into the back. Nope, needs a bit more trimming. All right, so we have that at least sliding in there. Does that cover both windows? Yes, it does. Just need to work on that length a little bit, like so, and all right, so there we go. Just need to glue those in place. Take just a little bit of glue, apply that right in the middle or between the two windows, and let's slide this in. I try to set it on top rather than slide it in and end up smearing the glue, because it'll kind of do that on its own once you push it down. But there we go, and now we can see the window detail from there. All right, now we have to do the same thing here on the front, so let's repeat the process and cut some for here. All right, just the tiniest bit more. Does that do it? Okay, looks like that one finally did it, and we can do the same thing for this one. Now, you might want to be a little bit more careful. I just realized, or I guess I kind of forgot, this one slips out a little bit, so I think I'm going to trim it even more and try to get it to fit between these two support pieces so I don't end up screwing myself over and making that harder to take out later. All right, and you're going to want to hold that for just a few seconds or a little bit just to make sure that glue is actually secured in there. But there we go. We've now got some detailing or window glazing on both sides of Toad. And that should complete the window part. I mean, that's a pretty simple, I mean, look how quick that was for us. And such a quick and instant detail upgrade. But like I said, there's a little bit more we can do. You know, for one, I think this gloss is a little bit much, so I think you know what I'm gonna do in terms of the matte clear situation. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll probably do that off camera, give this a quick coat of matte clear, and then we will come back for the work on the chassis. Yeah, we'll definitely at least do something to this brake, and we need to get on getting this light installed. So let's get on that. All right, so to prepare for this light to be installed, I think what we're gonna do is go ahead and take out the wheels and stuff. I think the couplers will be fine, but just to be safe, I might end up taking those out here in a second. All right, let's clean up this area just a little bit more. Let's keep this screw here. The body's done, so I'll probably just put the extra stuff in here, or under it. Like there's that. We'll put the wheels there. That should be good. And now let's go ahead and start this dremeling process. Oh boy. All right, we've got the Dremel all plugged in. Let's go ahead. I think we'll use this point, the green one. I don't know if the colors actually mean anything, but I don't know, green seems lucky today. I think the best thing to do is probably start from the top, or maybe it'll be from the bottom. I'm not sure. Also, heads up, my Dremel is kind of broken and sometimes likes to work on nothing but full power, so this might be a little loud. I think I'll start the hole here on the top just so we can get it peeking through the bottom, and then we will probably just try to make it bigger through that since the light will be installed through the bottom. But let's go ahead and give that a shot. It's actually working again. Nice. Ooh, well, ladies and gentlemen, I might have just forgotten until during the Dremel process, but there's a weight here in the, yeah, take that, make sure you take that out before you do any of this. Go ahead and take that out. That's that was my bad. Oops. We're gonna act like that didn't happen though. Yeah, make sure you remove the weight before you do the dremeling process. That could have been bad, but well, looks like everything worked out for the better. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are now through with the hole. This is a little bit off-center from the looks of it, but that's okay. We can probably fix that as we make this larger to get the LED in, but we can just now fit the bulb. This is going to take just a little bit more work. All right, really quick, I'm going to go put on a mask. If you are doing this with me, be sure to not only wear proper PPE, but yeah, be careful where you put your hands. I'm going to have to, or I'm going to try to hold these together as I do this dremeling, and you don't want to end up hurting your finger or something. So let's get on that real quick. All right, so it might be a little bit harder to understand me from this point forward, but cope. That might be it. Yeah, just a little bit more from the bottom. All right, there we go, and that should be just enough to get that light in there. Now, we will have to think of a way to secure it a bit more properly. That's okay. I'll think of something. Now I've got to clean up, so that's the real fun part. Let's do that real quick. All right, so we've got Toad. We've got our wheels here ready. We've got the weight that we totally forgot about. Chassis, and now the light. So I think what we're gonna do is, make sure this is as clean as it can be. Go ahead and get all this residual plastic up out of there. Don't want that coming off on the rails. Got the light on. Let's go ahead and put it in like so. Put the body on. I mean, if you ask me, that is an instant upgrade. Let's try to zoom in a little bit. That's pretty dope. I think that's gonna look awesome running behind James or just any freight train I pull from now on. Turn the light off so we can get some... Okay. Maybe it's a little bit bright for just being a little stove. I think that's definitely fair to say. But I mean, it's a freaking Toad with lighting. That's cool enough on its own. It does kind of bleed from the door there, so I might... You could put tape there. You could do a lot of things to fix that, but I don't think that's not too big of a deal. I'll probably just leave it for now. All right, now let's figure out how to get this thing to sit in there better. So maybe it's a few hours later now, but we've made some pretty big progress. So at least there's that. It just so happens off camera, I got some advice from a good friend, Blue 65 Tank, to kind of dull out the red light a bit, since we all can agree it looked a bit like a nether portal. So basically I've taken some yellow paint, thinned it out with some water, and put that on the top. And as we can see here, it makes a much more amber effect rather than, say, well, just an all red, almost fire-like effect. Or no, this is more like a fire. This looks a lot more like a stove. And this also fits a bit better into the chassis now thanks to these pieces of styrene. Currently there are 3 pieces inside, and this just slides right in there to a snug fit now that actually holds it. So there's that, but I sadly haven't gotten to, file down these buffers yet. Maybe spray this a new matte black. I'm thinking we'll have to do a part 2 since this video is already so long. Might as well just go ahead and call it where we're at for modifications now. Now, with that being said, there are still some things I'd like to do, like add the very small lamps here on the side. Maybe, just maybe, do some interior detail, which I know doesn't really matter, but, you know, maybe adding some extra wood detail here would be fun, or just knowing that I put a stove in there, you know, myself. Let me know in the comments. If you guys would like to see a part 2 to this, I would love to make one. This has been really fun so far. All right, let's zoom in a bit and go ahead and reassemble this guy. Let's slip the light in. Now, typically I'll go ahead and turn it on as it's going in, like so. I even made it's kind of faded at this point, but put a little arrow there to remind me to turn it that way. Got the light now installed. You can push it up just a little bit more. It's not too noticeable when it's running, thankfully. So, got that on now. Let's slip this body on like so. Ladies and gentlemen, see, that is just instantly better. That is so much better than the freaking red was before. You know, it may just be me, but I would definitely call this an upgrade. This is just so much better so quickly. And again, there's still more we could do. So if you guys would like a part 2, be sure to let me know in the comments. But wow, okay. This ended up way more cool than I thought it would. This has been the project so far, and I have to say, I'm pretty proud of it. This is pretty cool. I'm at a loss for words. You know, I don't really know what else to say besides it actually worked this time. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we give this boy some attention and get him on the layout. So let's see this thing in action. Oh, I'm hyped. This has been fun. This has been a freaking blast.
Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out.
Queen of Scotty winning, and now...
Now here you fucking gobshite. I've had it up to here with you all fucking night. Now stop telling people to phone me. You give my phone number out. You're not but a gobshite. And you know what the Queen of Scotty knows always takes? Ta-da! To fucking you. Go on. You.